Schroeder. She's 16 years old. She's from Niagara County. She's been in 4-H for 8 years. She has done 7 county presentations, 3 district, and 1 state presentation. The title of her presentation is Looking a Gift Horse in the Mouth.
People say stuff. Lots of phrases have made their way into our language as if they were words. People say stuff that doesn't make sense, like a what bird doesn't fly at night. Stuff that makes a ton of sense, like to make the best better. And stuff that you can tell has meaning, but can't quite figure out, like the saying, never look a gift horse in the mouth. Hi, I'm Michelle Schroeder, and this is Lunch. And today we will be talking about how and why to look a gift horse in the mouth, or how to age horses using dentition. Based on a variety of factors, the teeth can give us an estimate as to how old a horse is. This saying equates age with value, so it means to be appreciative of everything you're given. However, that is very important. If you are ever given a real-life gift horse, or any time you're considering acquiring a new equine, you should definitely look it in the mouth, or figure out how old it is. Knowing what stage of life an animal is in is very important, as it affects the care and expectations of that animal in ways such as training, nutrition, and veterinary needs. This isn't a foolproof method, such as in the case where a horse may have missing teeth, or bishoping, which is when the teeth are reshaped to make the horse seem younger, and won't give you an exact number, but is usually sufficient on its own. A horse is typically born with no teeth. This means that the foal is completely reliant on its mare. But the horse will grow teeth very quickly, as today we'll learn that 8 is a popular number, because the central incisors, which are these 4 teeth, appear at just 8 days old. All 12 premolars, which are these 6 teeth on either side, appear within 2 weeks of birth. At this point in the animal's life, all teeth are deciduous, meaning that they are temporary, and later on will be replaced by permanent teeth. Deciduous teeth are smaller in size and lighter in color than their permanent counterparts, and can also be called caps or milk teeth. At 8 weeks old, the intermediate incisors, which are these 2 teeth on either side, appear. By this time, the teeth are at a near 180 degrees angle of incidence. The angle of incidence, named after the incisors, refer to how the teeth top to bottom come together. If these are teeth, an angle of incidence will look like this, and will shift as the horse ages. At 8 months old, the corner incisors, which are these 2 teeth before the interdental space, erupt. This is a 1-year-old mare. Take note of the color and size of her teeth. Her teeth aren't at quite a 180-degree angle of incidence, but they're close, and you will see a difference in the older horses we see today. At 2.5 years old, the horse starts to shed its milk teeth. So don't worry if you see the caps in the stall or horse's pasture. Just like humans, horses can experience some teething pain. So if you notice unusual eating habits in a young animal, that could be why. The first teeth replaced are the central incisors, and the second premolar, which is this tooth. At 4 years old, the central incisors are considered to be in wear. This means that the angle of incidence has reduced to such that while the horse is chewing, the teeth rub on each other in a way that eventually changes the shape. At about 3.5 years old, the intermediate incisors and the third molars, which are these teeth, erupt. The molars do not exist in deciduous form. This is a 3-year-old gelding. He still has a very steep angle of incidence. Take note that the fact that his teeth are about as wide as they are tall. Looking at the occlusal view or overhead view of his teeth, we can see that they're like a rounded rectangular shape. That'll come into play later as well. Looking at our 4-year-old gelding, his teeth from the occlusal view are the same shape. His angle of incidence is already starting to decrease, and I believe his only cap in this picture is the bottom corner incisor. At 5 years old, the horse has a full mouth. This permanent teeth have come in. At about 4.5, the permanent corner incisors, which are these teeth, and the canines only found in males erupt. Just like the molars, canines and wolf teeth do not exist in temporary form. By 5 years old, the corner incisors are also in wear, quickly followed by the rest of the mouth. But because the incisors are the only teeth that are easily visible, the incisors are likely the only thing you'll take into account when trying to estimate a horse's age based on their dentition. At 6 years old, cups begin to appear on the teeth. They first appear on the central and intermediate incisors. Cups are indentations due to wear. And at 7 years old, hooks appear on the corner incisors. Hooks are sharp outgrowths of enamel, and why it is important to get our horses floated on a regular basis. Hooks appear at this age because the angle of incidence decreases, and so the whole teeth isn't being worn as easily. This is a 7-year-old gelding. We can notice there's still a change in the angle of incidence, and the teeth are definitely bigger than we saw in the younger horses. His teeth are full-sized. He does have a small hook on the upper corner incisor, which helps us figure out that he's 7. If we could see the occlusal view of his teeth, we'd see that he does have indents on the top and bottom surface of his teeth called cups. At 8 years old, the cups begin to disappear, first from the corner incisors, followed by the rest of the incisors. And at 9 years old, dental stars appear on the central and intermediate incisors. Dental stars are these white marks near the front of the tooth and appear at 9 years old. 10 marks an important milestone when aging horses throughout their teeth. The Galvin's groove appears at 10 years old. The Galvin's groove is this indent in the front. And at 10 years old, the incisors begin to round, so they will no longer be the rectangular shape we saw in our younger geldings and mares. This is a 10-year-old gelding. He has an obvious Galvin's groove on his central and intermediate incisor, and just starting on the corner incisor. In the overhead view, we can already see that there's a shift in the shape of the tooth. His angle of incidence is also different than the 7-year-old geldings. At 11 years old, the horse has a smooth mouth. This means that all the cups have disappeared. These teeth are both examples of teeth that would be considered smooth because there's no super obvious indents in the top. At 13 years old, enamel spots appear on the incisors. Enamel spot is this dark little circle on the occlusal surface of the tooth and appears on the rest of the teeth later throughout the horse's teeth. The Galvin's groove will be about a third of the way down the tooth at this point. This is a 13-year-old gelding. We can see his Galvin's groove is more obvious than it was in a 10-year-old. His angle of incidence hasn't changed much, but definitely has changed. In the occlusal view of the mouth, we can see that his teeth are continuing to round and shift to a little bit angular. He doesn't have enamel spots visible yet, but he will soon. At 15 years old, if there were any cups remaining from when the horse hit its smooth mouth at 11, they are definitely gone. The Galvin's groove should be about halfway down the tooth. The tooth will be somewhere between triangular and round, like this tooth. At 17 years old, the enamel spots disappear. So the surface of the tooth will be mostly the same color, and the teeth have shifted from round to triangular. At 20 years old, the Galvin's groove reaches the occlusal surface. This means that it's the whole length of the tooth, like this tooth. At 20 years old, spaces may begin to appear between the teeth due to wear over the years, and the angle of incidence may be reduced to less than 90 degrees, which is a huge difference compared to the almost straight teeth we saw in our younger horses today. This is a 20-year-old mare. Because of her dental issues, the angle of incidence is certainly hard to judge. But we can see that her teeth are a typical triangular teeth that the horse reaches once they're 17 years old. Her enamel spots are still there, but we can conclude that this is likely because her teeth don't wear properly because of her overbite and extra teeth in the front. After 20 years old, there are no more obvious milestones like there were throughout the teeth. The more worn the teeth look, the older the horse is. Spaces may begin to continue to increase between the teeth. And some people report that the Gelding's groove disappears by 30. This isn't super reliable because it doesn't happen to all horses. This is a 23-year-old gelding. We can see that he still has an obvious Gelding's groove. There are small spaces forming between the teeth, but again, spaces don't always form. His angle of incidence is similar to the 20-year-old mare we saw had we been able to properly evaluate it. Looking at the occlusal field, we can see that he doesn't have like enamel spots or cuffs or anything. Although today we decided that it's very important to be appreciative of everything you've given, the best gift you can give an animal is taking proper care of them. And knowing their age is important. Can you figure out, let's test your knowledge. Can you figure out how old Larch is? You can either look at her or her picture. When aging an animal, the first thing we want to check is that all of their teeth are there. Larch has all of her teeth and they're all full grown, so Larch was probably at least 5. The next thing I like to check is the angle of incidence. Larch is hard to line up without the help of flesh, but her angle of incidence does appear to be more on the acute side. So we can conclude that she was at least 7. I believe Larch was about 15. These are the obvious signs I use. Larch does look a little bit different in person than in her pictures. The Gelding's groove is a little bit more than halfway down her tooth. That would lead you to believe that she's later in her teens, but because of the shape of her tooth being not quite triangular and the presence of enamel spots still, she probably wasn't. If you'd like to learn more about how you can evaluate the age of your horse to best care for your equine partner, please check out these resources. As per usual, Horse March by the American Youth Horse Council is my absolute favorite, and I found Horse Anatomy, a coloring atlas by Robert Kaner, especially helpful for this presentation. I hope today that you can use this information to better the care for your animals, and if not, you at least enjoyed it and learned something. Thank you so much for watching it. Are there any questions?
So do you have a horse?
The question was, do I have a horse? We own 2 miniature horses, but I also lease. I also show a few other miniature horses, and started free leasing a big horse last year, so I can ride.
And the pictures that you had of the actual horses, are those some of the horses that are like where you lease your horse and stuff
The
like?
question was, are the pictures from where I lease? So all of the pictures except for the yearling mare were pictures I took at our barn. We didn't have a horse that young, so I asked my friend if I could take pictures of their horse. But all of them are horses I do know, and the 7-year-old gelding is my horse.
Is there a difference with the miniature horses versus the standard horse, like with their teeth formation, or is it still the same with the miniatures?
The question was if there was a difference between standard and miniature horses in the teeth. So there's not a ton of money for resourcing horses in general, and even less for miniature horses. Not really. Normally it's about the same. The only thing that's different is minis can't eat as much grass as big horses because they're prone to founder, which is caused by too much sugar in the grass. So diet sometimes has an effect on that, but the diet's usually about the same. And minis do age a little bit, like they show their age a little bit more than big horses do. So that wouldn't affect their teeth, but if you have to feed them like softer foods in their 20s before you'd have to feed a big horse mash, that could. But overall, it's pretty much the same. Just obviously like looking at a tooth, if you're used to looking at big horses, like looking at a mini tooth could be hard, and vice versa, because it can be hard to judge like how far the Gelding's groove is or the angle of incidence if you're used to looking at it on a different scale.